Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Kim, and for this video it is a overview of my Chaos Demons 2200 point army list that I took to last weekend's GT. Now I will make a note, this list isn't min-maxing the most optimized units and is more of a mid-tier army, but if you play it well, you can definitely compete as this placed in the top 3 at the event. So the list definitely can perform as long as you know its strength and weaknesses. So I'll go through each unit, describe the war gear, and just what to look out for. To start off with the general of the army, it is a Lord of Change. He will cost 445 points. What that amount will give you is the Will of Tzeentch, Twin Heads, and level 4 with Illusion Magic. So I'm going to break down what the gifts do. The Will of Tzeentch basically allows you once per round to reroll a single dice. It can be in a batch, it can be any dice. So a casting, a failed ward save. So this gift is very strategic as it can be game changing. So over the weekend, when I rolled for Spectral Doppelganger, I got it off and I rolled a 6 and a 2, so I got 8 hits on. However, with the Will of Tzeentch, because I hadn't used it yet, I could reroll the 2 into a 5. So instead of 8 Spectral Doppelganger hits, I got 11 with the Great Weapon. So the Will of Tzeentch is very flexible, and not many people know about this gift. It's honestly, from the past maybe 20 some games I've played with it, it's game changing. Now, I will say 55 points is a bit expensive, especially if your Lord of Change gets shot off the board turn 1, but the fact you have this reroll, it allows you to tank a bit more cannon fire. So let's say 3 cannons shoot at the Lord of Change, you fail one, you take let's say 3 wounds, the second cannon hits, you pass that ward save, and the third cannon fires, you fail the ward save, which means you may be dead, but with the Will of Tzeentch, you can re-roll it. But I do want to note that it is only 6 times in a game that you can use it. It is once per round, so keep a marker nearby so you can track it down, not play your turn every round. So turn 1, for you and your opponent, you get a single re-roll. Same thing for turn 2, between you and your opponent, you get a single reroll. So you do have to be strategic when you use it because, again, it's a limited amount. Moving on to the second gift, which is Twin Heads. Now, it is a 20-point gift. There is a lot of thought or debate of, do you get demonic robes to make your greater demon tankier? The reason you need Twin Heads, in my humble opinion, you need to ensure you get Spectral Doppelganger. What Twin Head does, it gives you a 5th spell. Now it's funny because at the GT, 2 of my games, even knowing a 5th spell, I did not get Doppelganger. But by having that chance, it becomes so much better. So it's a small 20-point gift, nothing crazy, but it is well worth the investment. And now moving along to Illusion Magic. It's not a surprise why we want Illusion. We want Spectral Doppelganger. The Lord of Change with Spectral Doppelganger, the Will of Tzeentch combination. I almost one-shotted a Black Orc on a Wyvern in a Chaos Dwarf army. I killed a Steam Tank in 2 rounds of combat. And at Nova, over a year and a half ago, the Lord of Change with Spectral Doppelganger killed Necrosphinxes. He's killed whole blocks of infantry. So that's the spell you really want to get off. But not only that, Column of Crystal helps so much to get the cannon fire or shooting away from you and to block some charges. In addition, we also want Barrage. By shutting down people's charge, your demon army, which is not the tankiest, can actually get through the table. You can stop a big bad dragon if you can't deal with it. So overall, I do believe Illusion is the best lore to go with. Because the signature spell is really good for the -1 to hit, you can make your Lord of Change tankier, but you can always go back to the Tzeentch Gift of Mutation, I believe it's called, the signature spell. It reduces the toughness, strength, or weapon skill by D3 on the opponent, and if you get above a 10 plus on the casting value, it's 2 of those stats. So this hex or debuff is very crippling to a lot of units. Up next is the Herald of Tzeentch at 235 points. Now this build is probably the first time I've ever seen someone run him like so, and it's a huge point sink for a 2 wounded character, but he is a very nasty tool. So at a level 2 for Tzeentch, he actually still casts at a +2 because Tzeentch demons have a +1 to the casting rolls. So already he matches most armies level 3 or 4 wizards. In addition, being a BSB with the Banner of Change, the Banner of Change does an automatic 3d6 strength 2 hits at the start of the combat phase. You effectively get a free assailment spell every turn with this model. Now, you're going to wonder, strength 2 is very pitiful. A lot of people think it's worthless. Well, with the Tzeentch signature spell that reduces the toughness by D3, you can bring down units to T1, T2, where all of a sudden these 3d6 strength 2 hits can actually do a massive amount of damage. And by being with Demonology, if you're lucky and you roll the assailment spell for demonic assailment or whatever you call it, you can get 3d6 strength 2 hits from the banner, then 2d6 strength 2 hits with no armor saves. You're getting all of these hits even before anyone swings. So this guy becomes like a little missile that most opponents don't expect. So that's why this combination is kind of worth the points. Over the weekend, this threw a lot of my opponents off, and this was my secret tech I've been playing around with for the past couple of months, and I'm really happy to see how successful it actually performed at a competitive level. And for his first gift and only gift, it's Winged Horror. It's 45 points, but it makes the Herald fly 8 with Swift Stride, so he becomes extremely mobile. You can actually deliver him to drop off this assailment nuke onto most infantry units or even monsters. And the reason you give him the wings is so he can join the Fury unit, which I will touch upon when we get to them. And the last hero we have is the Nurgle Demon Prince build. Now this isn't anything special. Many people know about this build, but I'll briefly touch upon it. So the Demon Prince already has 360-degree line of sight, so it's very hard for opponents to hide from him. By making him fly, he flies 9 with a 6-inch charge, so he has a 15-inch threat range, which is pretty substantial on the table. Not only that, by giving him the gift the Aether Blade, all 5 attacks he has will ignore armor saves, which means heavy units like the new Renegade Infantries, like Demigryphs, Steam Tanks, anything like that, you go right through their armor. And having the Mark of Nurgle means in combat, your opponent has to reroll 6s to hit. So this guy is a very efficient model, and he can go toe-to-toe with most heroes because he has a 4+ ward save. The 4+ ward save is honestly game-changing. I know for the past year and a half of playing Old World, many of my opponents and friends always ask why I like the Demon Prince. He only has 4 wounds. Well, that 4+ ward save makes him a 50-50. I feel like I've made so many saves. Even this past weekend, he tanked 4 cannonballs to the face. By surviving, he charged in and cleaned up the whole flank. So even though he only has 4 wounds, that 4+ ward save, to me, I treat him more as 6 or even 7 wounds. Moving along to the first core unit, that is 15 Chaos Furies with the Mark of Tzeentch. This is going to cost 210 points, and this is where my playstyle is very different. Now, everyone knows what Furies do, their reputation is quite well known. I use them very differently. Mark of Tzeentch does absolutely nothing for the unit because they don't cast spells. However, by being Mark of Tzeentch, it allows the Flying Herald with the banner to go inside the unit. If you watched my tournament recap released a couple days ago, you'll notice that the Furies go along with the Herald to all these combats. I treat the Furies more like extra wounds, where my Herald now has a 15 plus wound blanket, so any shots come my way, anything like a fireball from Ruby Ring, the Furies will tank the hits to deliver my Herald into important combats. They can still do their normal damage, strength 4, AP -1, 2 attacks on the charge, but I treat them more as an accessory to the Herald. The next core choice are 15 Pink Horrors, 198 points with full command. So I do know Pink Horrors have a bad reputation. I have a lot of success with these models actually, as with their shooting, these guys can actually hold a objective pretty well, and with the new 1.5 buff, my guys actually held the objective in some combats pretty well. 15 of them, you have a 5-up ward save, so against small firearms and even high strength, you could still make a couple ward saves and last longer than you should. And with quick shot, you guys can move and still shoot at range 18. So these guys aren't anything special, but a pretty reliable core choice to have. And the biggest reason why I like these guys is they also bring the Gift of Mutation, the Tzeentch signature spell, to reduce toughness, weapon skill, or strength by D3 within a foot. So against another infantry unit or something similar, if they're within a foot, they risk you debuffing them before they charge you. So you can actually hold off a combat longer than you think. Moving on to the last core choices are 2 10-man blue horror units for a total of 180 points. These guys are honestly just to hold objectives. With this 1.5 change with strategic locations and baggage train, having these cheap 90-point units who can shoot 2 shots a model, so a 10-man blue horror unit can shoot 20 shots. Now they are only ballistic skill 3, so most likely you're hitting on 6s at long range and multi-shot, but the volume of dice you get, you can actually cripple a lot of these skirmishing units coming at you, or another small, I'd say Empire level type unit coming at you. So 90 points for 10 models with a 5-up ward save, to me, is a very solid choice to have. Onto our first non-core unit, our 4 Beasts of Nurgle at 248 points. What can I say, but this is probably the best 248 points you're going to spend in an army. Each one of these models is T5, 4 wounds, 5-up ward save, 5-up regen, and each individual beast has D6 plus 1 attacks. This unit can do 4d6 plus 4 attacks at strength 4, AP -1 with armor bane 1 poisoned. I've had these guys delete whole cavalry units on the charge. These guys are just so tanky, they're a beat stick. And with the new crumbling rule, these guys stay even longer on the table. In addition, these guys, with their slime trail rule, you get no bonuses for charging their flank or rear, which is amazing. They probably will have close ordered, at least for the first round of combat, just due to the sheer volume of wounds and toughness they bring. In addition, each one of them can act as a champion and throw a challenge out. So against a dragon coming at you, you could tie that model for probably 3 to 4 rounds of combat. The big nasty trick actually for this unit is if your Herald gets the Steed of Shadows or your Pyrocaster, the Exalted, you can steed this unit 24 inches up. I like to put this unit an inch away from the main enemy's line, as they probably can deal with it, but probably after throwing a significant amount of resources, or if they don't manage to finish that unit off, I can push them in more aggressively and actually probably kill the unit I want. Up next are the 3 Flamers of Tzeentch at 167 points for the Pyrocaster with Exalted upgrade. Now I won't go into too much detail, as this unit again is very well known in the community. I just like for how few points you pay, you get another free caster with Demonology. Now on the safe bet, you just resort to the summoning and you become a artillery piece shooting with the missile and your own shooting attacks. But I also like them on the off chance you actually roll Steed of Shadows. You have another unit or another wizard who can steed the beast or steed the blues or pink horrors up the table. So it's very flexible demonology with this unit. It's just very efficient. And the last unit is a unit of 3 plug drones for 210 points with full command. Now these models again are quite well known. They fly 9 with a Swiss stride, so they have an 18-inch max charge range. They bring death heads, T5, 5 up ward and 6 up regen. Now the only advice I'd give, I only like 3 of them in a unit. I think having 4, their footprint becomes a bit too big, and in certain circumstances, it does mess up your charges. So I honestly believe 3 is the sweet spot to run them as. I think 4 is a bit excessive. 4 I would leave to the Beasts of Nurgle because they're meant for combat. Well, there you guys have it. I hope you enjoyed the army review and breakdown. I actually enjoyed this quite a bit, so if you would like to see all of my older armies, please let me know in the comments below. Look forward to more hobby videos and potentially more of these army breakdown videos in the near future.